Good morning students, Sairam. In today's mathematics session, we are going to continue with chapter 11, that is algebra. Children, in the previous live session, you learnt what is algebra and what are variables. Let's once again go through them so that you remember it well. Children, we have learnt that algebra is the branch of mathematics where we use letters, and these letters are called variables, isn't it? These letters are called variables. And what is a variable? It is something whose value can change. Okay. So, it is a number, but its value can change. So, we can use letters M, N, M, L, P, X, Y, Z, etc. to indicate a variable. Now, in algebra, we use letters, isn't it? So, the use of letters helps us in numerous ways. How does it help us? We can write general formulas and rules, isn't it? When we use letters, we can write general formulas and rules. And using letters, we can talk about any number and not just a particular number. And the variables help us in solving puzzles and in solving many problems from daily life. And since letters stand for numbers, mathematical operations can be performed on them. Mathematical operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, all these operations can be performed on them, which give us algebraic expressions. Now, for example, in the expression 3n, the variable n is multiplied by number 3. N is the variable, isn't it? And it is multiplied by the number 3. But numbers can also be added or subtracted from variables. For example, x plus 5 or x minus 5, and these give us algebraic expressions. X plus 5 means 5 added to x. X minus 5 means 5 subtracted from x. So, these mathematical operations on variables give us algebraic expressions. Now, children, it is very important to remember that this x plus 5 is not equal to 5x. Okay, x plus 5 and 5x are not equal. X plus 5 means 5 added to x, whereas 5x means x is multiplied by 5, isn't it? Let us understand by taking the examples. For example, if x is equal to 2, then what will be 5x? That means 5 multiplied by 2, it will be 10. And what will be x plus 5? It will be 2 plus 5, that means 7. So, aren't they different? Yes. So, we can understand that 5x and x plus 5, they are not equal. Similarly, if we take x is equal to 5, then 5x becomes 5 multiplied by 5, that is 25, and x plus 5 will become 5 plus 5, that is 10. So, you have to remember this very well, that x plus 5 is not equal to 5x. Now, based on what we have learnt about the algebra, about the matchstick patterns and about variables, we will solve problems of exercise 11.1. So, let us see what is the first question. Find the rule which gives the number of matchsticks required to make the following matchstick patterns. Use a variable to write the rule. So, what is the first one? A pattern of T. Okay. So, the pattern of T like this we have to take. How many matchsticks we are using? We are using 2 matchsticks. So, how do we write general formula or general rule for number of matchsticks? So, for number of matchsticks for 1 T, how many matchsticks we require? We require only 2. And if we want 2 T's, then how many matchsticks will require? We will require 2 plus 2, 4 matchsticks, isn't it? For 3 T's, that means 1, 2 and 3. Number of matchsticks will be 6, isn't it? So, what rule we can write? Here the number of matchsticks will be equal to 2n, where n stands for the number of T's, how many T's we are forming. Okay, so the general rule will be 2n. Now let's move on to the next one. The pattern of letter Z, Z like this. So you can see how many matchsticks are used for Z. It is 1, 2 and 3, isn't it? For one Z, how many matchsticks are required? 3 matchsticks are required. Okay. Now let's see for 2 Z's, how many matchsticks will be required? For 2 Z's, we will require 6 matchsticks, isn't it? Similarly, for 3 Z's, we will require 9 matchsticks, isn't it? So how can we write the formula for this? The rule for this, number of matchsticks will be which will be required to write Z will be 3 multiplied by n. And what is n? N is number of Z's that we write, that we form with matchsticks. So this is the general rule for finding out the number of matchsticks, 3n. Now next is pattern U, okay, of letter U. So making U using matchsticks like this. So how many matchsticks are required for forming one U? 1, 2 and 3. So for 1 U, 3 matchsticks are required. For 2 U, how many matchsticks will be required? It will be 2 multiplied by 3, that means 6, isn't it? Which is given here. And if we want to form 3 U's, then it will be 3 multiplied by 3, that means 9. So what rule we can, general rule we can write for the number of matchsticks? It will be 3n. And what is n? N is the number of U's formed, number of U's. Okay. So it is 3n for U. For making letter V, for making one V, we need 2 matchsticks. Similarly, for 2 V's, we need 4 matchsticks. For 3 V, we need 6 matchsticks. So what is the general rule that we can write? It is 2n. And n is what? It is number of V's formed. Okay. Now, for pattern E, like this we have to form the pattern of E. How many matchsticks are required to form one E? It is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So for one E, we need 5 matchsticks. For 2 E's, what will be the number of matchsticks? It will be 10, isn't it? 5 into 2, that is 10. And for 3 E's, what will be the number? It will be 5 into 3, that is 15. So what is the general rule that we can write? It is 5 multiplied by n. So the number of matchsticks required will be 5 multiplied by n. So what is what is n? N is a variable and it is number of E's formed. If we form 10 E's, so it will be 5 multiplied by 10, that means 50 matchsticks will be required. So the general rule is 5n. Now for forming S. So for one S, how many matchsticks are required? Again we need 5 matchsticks for one S, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for one S. For 2S, it will be 5 multiplied by 2, that is 10. For 3, it will be 5 multiplied by 3, that means 15 matchsticks will be required. So what is the general rule? It is 5 multiplied by n. And what is n? It is number of S formed. So 5n is the general rule for this. And number of pattern of letter A. So let's see how many matchsticks are required for pattern A. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For 1A, we need how many matchsticks? 6 matchsticks. So for 2 A's, it will be 2 multiplied by 6, it will be 12. And for 3 A's, it will be 3 multiplied by 6, that means 18. So what will be the general rule? It will be 6 multiplied by n. And what is n? N is number of A's formed. How many A's we are forming? That many, that is the value of n, isn't it? So the number of mastics, if we require to make some 8 patterns of A. So how many matchsticks we require? 6 multiplied by 8, it will be 48. So 6n is the general formula. Now let's move on to the next question, that is 11.1, exercise 11.12. We already know the rule for the pattern of letters L, C and F. Some of the letters from question 1 give us the same rule as given by L. Which are these and why does this happen? That means we have to find out which other letters give the same rule as L. So why does this happen? That also we have to discuss. So the rule for L, what is it? It is 2n, isn't it? Because for forming 1L we require 2 matchsticks. So what is the general rule? It is 2 into n. And what is an n? N is the number of L's formed, isn't it? So which two other letters we can use the same rule? It is for T, isn't it? For T also 2 matchsticks required. So what is the general rule? It is 2n. And for V also 2 matchsticks are required. So the general rule here also we have 2n. Okay. So in part A and D give the same rule as L because the number of matchsticks required in each of them is 2. So here we have question number 3, 11.1 exercise. Cadets are marching in a parade. There are 5 cadets in a row. What is the rule which gives the number of cadets given the number of rows? Use n for the number of rows. So how do we solve this problem? So we can see that number of cadets in one row is 5, isn't it? So in one row the number of cadets is 5. In the second row, in 2 rows it is 5 multiplied by 2, that is 10, and in 3 rows it will be 5 multiplied by 3, that is 15. For n rows, how many cadets will be there? So number of cadets for n number of rows will be 5 into n, that means 5n, where n stands for number of rows, isn't it? So the number of cadets will be given by 5 multiplied by n, and n is the number of rows. So question number 4 of exercise 11.1. If there are 50 mangoes in a box, how will you write the total number of mangoes in terms of the number of boxes? Use B for number of boxes. In the same manner we will answer this problem also. So the number of mangoes in one box is equal to 50. So what will be the number of mangoes in 2 boxes? It will be 50 multiplied by 2, that is 100, and number of mangoes in 3 boxes will be 50 multiplied by 3 is equal to 150. If it is 4 boxes, then it will be 50 multiplied by 4, that means 200. So what is the general rule for this? So let us see what is the general rule. The number of mangoes will be equal to 50 into number of boxes, 50 multiplied by number of boxes, and we have taken the number of boxes as B. So what will be the general rule? It is 50 multiplied by B. So what will be the number of mangoes? It will be 50B, and B stands for the number of boxes. How many number of boxes? That multiplied by 50 will give the number of mangoes. Students, once again I will remind you that you have to solve all these problems neatly in your notebook and solve them. There is one problem given as homework, that is problem number 7 of exercise 11.1. Radha is drawing a dot rangoli. a beautiful pattern of lines joining dots with chalk powder. She has 9 dots in a row. How many dots will her rangoli have in our rows? Okay, so what rule can you write for this? How many dots will be there if there are 8 rows and if there are 10 rows? Children, you solve this problem in your notebook and we will discuss this in our coming session. I'll end this session. Thank you.